Who is facing charges tonight. This is after a gun went off on a team bus. A bullet hit a trainer in the leg, and now instead of celebrating, the district is expressing a lot of disappointment, and they're frustrated over all of this. Robbie Owens, live at Kimball High School tonight to fill you in on the rest of the details here. Robbie?
Well, Doug, first the good news. We're told that a trainer is already out of surgery and is back in Dallas with her family. And the UIL is not punishing the entire team. The rest of those boys will get to play in the state semifinal game tonight. But what a distraction.
There are no excuses for this.
Dallas ISD Superintendent Michael Hossa wears his Oak Cliff roots proudly. So when a top student athlete is arrested for something that he finds unexplainable and inexcusable, it's personal.
This is extremely disappointing, and it's personal, because I was a coach and I was a teacher in Dallas, and you know, we've made so much progress, and we're bragging about Oak Cliff. You're only as good as your reputation, and you can do so many good things and build it up, but one bad thing will pull you down.
Now, 18-year-old Kyron Henderson is facing multiple charges, including assault with a deadly weapon and possessing a firearm on school premises. Kimball was leaving practice at a San Antonio area team's facility Wednesday evening when the gun discharged on the charter bus, striking a team trainer in the leg. Henderson has already been kicked off of the team.
He could have went to pro in a year. I mean, it's sad.
The disappointment now reaching from the campus throughout the Oak Cliff community.
He's that good.
Any college, he's that good. He's a top wide receiver. He plays basketball very well. He's that good.
Dallas coach LeMoyne Brown says he's known and attempted to mentor Henderson for years, calling the teen both talented and troubled.
Yeah, he was one of the ones that you hope would make it, because he's such a talent in both sports and two sports, and you just hope he had a chance to make it. But after hearing this, then, you know, you never know what's going to happen.
Brown says he has no doubt that Henderson would have had his pick of colleges. Now he hopes the situation can be a wake-up call for others.
The simple fact of it's just not just him.
We can't talk our way out of things that we behaved ourselves into. So we got to find a way to turn this thing around.
The superintendent, Hossa, is in San Antonio tonight. He says to go handle the situation there and to provide moral support for that team. Live at Kimball High School in Oak Cliff, Robbie Owens, CBS 11 News.
Robbie?
No excuse or victim of hidden truths. Let's talk on the mic. Hello, good people. This is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker, coming back at you live once again from the Lone Star State with another edition of the Media Mike Speaks. All right, good people. All right, it is 1 minute past the hour, and yes, we are the voice of the everyday citizen. One of my subscribers sent me this story, and they wanted me to give my take on it. So I told them I would. So, as you may or may not have seen or heard, the tragic case of this Kimball, Dallas ISD high school superstar, Mr. Kyron Henderson. Now, as you saw in the video, I did see the press release, and from our Michael Hossa, the Dallas ISD at this point superintendent, because he is moving on to another position. But he goes on to say, that there were no excuses for Mr. Henderson when his firearm discharged in San Antonio when they were going to the championship game. Or they were at the championship game, getting ready to play. And it did strike one of the individuals that were there. It wasn't a teammate, but I do believe it was, I think, one of the trainers. So, but they did not succumb to their injuries, so they were hospitalized, and they had to undergo surgery. So, but they're doing okay at this point. So, but then again, back to Dr. Hossa. He said this is a sad day, and there are no excuses for this. Which I do agree on that part. I do. Because Oak Cliff have come a long way since they did win the football title. But the thing is, good people, about this young man, as you saw in that people spoke highly of him in the video, that he could have went pro. And he was one of the ones that people hoped would make it, among others, because he was so talented, in those multiple sports. Just hoping he had a chance to make it. And we all know that things now are not looking good for this young man. But according to Mr. Host, he says, he quotes, "Like I said, we can't talk our way out of things that we behave ourselves into." Says Hinojosa, "We've got to find a way to turn this thing around," unquote. The rest of the team was allowed to continue to play, but we all know that they lost by 2 points to Beaumont. So, but my thing is this, good people. This young man, I do believe, is a victim. He is. And just hear me out. Even though he's 18 years old, and by state law, he's grown. But you see, my question is, number one, what is he doing with a firearm? Number two, where did he get it? Number three, who gave it to him? See, I'm pretty sure they're going to ask that, the investigators. But the thing is, you see, no one wants to talk about these things because this young man is facing multiple charges, including assault with a deadly weapon and possessing a firearm on school premises. Now, he's been removed from the team. But see, my thing is that who gave him this firearm? Who influenced him to want to carry a gun? Someone had to. Was it parents? Was it friends? Was it neighborhood individuals? Someone did. But see, these are things that we don't want to discuss. We hope that this young man makes it. We hope that a lot of youth make it from where they're from to go on and go off and do great things. But somehow, when it's a huge setback, we shake our heads, but we don't look at influences that are still lingering around. Because as young people get older, parents, relatives are not their only influence, to a certain degree. But this is not the first time this has happened. When I lived in East Texas, it happened to 2 young men who were football stars on their way somewhere, and they got caught up in an attempted robbery. And you know who was behind it? An older person, I would say, who was at large at the time. They were looking for 3 individuals. The two football stars got caught. They lost their scholarships to Texas Tech. And were charged and sentenced. And the third person, I do believe they probably caught him, but they were looking for an older person. I think at the time that person was 26 years old. So you see, we have these still negative influences somewhere around in our communities, somewhere, that are not looking out for our youth best interests. But we don't want to talk about that. Those are things we don't want to discuss. Because you see, there's nothing more disappointing in the world. It's wasted talent, as in the movie A Bronx Tale, starring Robert De Niro. Wasted talent. And there are people out there who want to make sure you do waste that talent. And until we get rid of those individuals or protect those individuals who have this talent to get away, we're going to see more stories like this with this young man. It's sad to say. And I think that's at the root of the problem. Who gave him the gun? What was he doing with the gun? How did he get a gun? See, why did he have it? Someone is behind this. But we talk about all these things about who's the enemy and this and that. And the enemy is in our own backyard. So anyway, if you want to talk about the old crabs in the bucket and all that, we know it's alive and well. We don't. From the boardroom to the streets. But somehow it's talked about more from the boardroom, but not in the streets. But we all know it exists in the street. We know that. We've seen it too many times. The epitome of this, really. Sad. But it seems that we're still our own worst enemy. Anyway, until next time, this is your guy, Mr. Educator, Mr. Communicator, Mr. Free Thinker. Subscribe, share, and like to keep me rocking on the mic. Have a good night.
I'll understand you soon, it won't be long. Keep on, keep running.